Guess how much I paid for this beautiful, huge stacked skulls? Only $12.99. Can you believe that? It lights up, it's sound activated, and in today's tutorial, we will use these skulls to make a high-end Halloween piece that you can use as a door wreath or a centerpiece. We're gonna start by choosing our focal points that we're gonna add all our decorations on. So I got this piece of foam from the dollar store and I'm gonna cut it in 2 halves and I'm gonna place them on the sides of the skull. I'm gonna put one on the right side and another piece of foam on the top and another piece of foam on the other side. I always keep the foam that comes on with the packages to use it on my DIYs, but you can always grab one from the dollar store. Next, I got this beautiful black leaves that I got from the craft outlet. They come in a pack of 12 and each of them is around $1. And as we always do, we cut our branches. It makes it so much easier to place them around and it gives them a fuller look. I started placing the black leaves on the side of the skull by adding a little bit of hot glue on the tip and then pushing it inside the foam. And I got another branch of this beautiful full color that I also got from the craft outlet. They are the same leaves in a different color. And I placed that on the side too. We're gonna use these leaves as the base of our florals. Now we're gonna cut the next branch and we're gonna do the same exact thing on the side of the skulls. By adding the pieces of foam as your first step, it makes it so much easier and stronger to add all your attachments. So we're gonna keep adding the black leaves to this side and kind of fluff them and play with them around until we get the look that we want. Next, I got this beautiful orange bush that I also got from the craft outlet. It is a large bush and I separated the stems and I'm gonna start placing them on the top of our leaves. I just used one bush on both sides and I just scattered them around. I put a few here and a few there. Then I got this beautiful black, orange, and harlequin ribbon that I also got from the craft outlet and we're gonna start making bows. With the velvet black ribbon, I made my first bow and this is the easiest way to make bows. You just pinch it from the middle after you shape the bow and then tie it with the twine and make 2 knots on the back. And I made another one using this beautiful harlequin ribbon and I did the same exact thing. I pinched it from the middle and then I tied it with the twine. Now we're gonna place them across each other just like that, and then with the leftover twine from the top bow, I'm gonna tie both together and make a knot on the back. And I cut all the excess twine. Now with the hot glue gun, we're gonna place this little bow on the top of the skull. And as you can see, I left a long tail. We're gonna make loops. And with the hot glue gun, we're gonna stick these 2 loops to the side. Now we're gonna make a bigger bow using all the other colors. And again, we're gonna use the most beginner-friendly way where you shape the bow with your hands and then you tie it from the middle with the twine. Make as much bows in different colors as you want. I made the black and the orange, tied all of them from the middle. I also made one in the orange striped ribbon and then I placed the bows in each other in the order that I want. I put each of the bows across the other and then I tied everything with the twine from the back. We're gonna cut any excess twine and fluff them up, and then with the hot glue gun, we're gonna stick that to the side of the pumpkin. Look how pretty these colors are together. Now I made the same exact steps using the same ribbon and I made another bow to the other side. And I'm gonna stick that with the hot glue gun. Next, I got this beautiful rustic sunflower that I got from Hobby Lobby. It is a huge and beautiful sunflower with this beautiful fall color, and it was around $1.79 each. Hobby Lobby had them on sale for $40 off, and I got a few of them. So I cut the stem, and with the hot glue gun, I pushed the first flower inside the foam on one of the sides of the skull. I am so in love with these sunflowers. They are so pretty. And then I got another one, and I also cut the stem, and with the hot glue gun, I'm gonna place this one on the top of the skull. After that, I kept adding more of the orange stems. Then I got this pambas pick that I got from the Dollar Tree. Each pick has around 4 to 5 of these stems. I separated them, and with the hot glue gun, I'm gonna start placing them on our centerpiece. And then I'm gonna use these beautiful fall berries that I got from Hobby Lobby. Each of these bushes had around 4 to 5 stems. I separated them and I'm gonna use them as fillers to my centerpiece. You get a feel of how much fillers you need to add on this as you go, and I kept adding the oranges and the fall picks. And after it was done, of course, we're not gonna forget to cut all the ribbon ends into a fishtail. It gives our centerpiece a neater and a more professional look. Next, I got this full pick from the dollar store and I cut a piece of it. And with the hot glue gun, I'm gonna start placing this. Oh, ouch. And of course, I burned my fingertips with the hot glue gun, as I always do. Please be very careful with the hot glue gun when you're adding your florals. We're gonna keep adding those beautiful berries on the top and on the sides. Look how pretty this looks. And I had this leftover green stems from another project, and since I don't need much, I'm just gonna use these on the top to fill under the beautiful sunflower. I also added some of the orange florals on the top and some more of the pampas picks and some more greens on the top to combine all the beautiful fall colors together and make them pop. Now another pampas stem. And this one, there's a little trick to this one. You can actually make this one longer and thinner or shorter and fuller. All you have to do is push it up and down, just like this, thinner and longer or shorter and fuller. And I cut a piece of it, and with the hot glue gun, I'm gonna push that inside the foam. And of course, I got all my leftover florals from other projects. I'm gonna use it as fillers. Now there's a little tip that I want to show you. It's an amazing trick for all your pieces if you're planning to sell them. I got this bag of green moss from the Dollar Tree, and we're gonna look around and find any visible pieces of foam. We're gonna add some of the green moss. And as you can see, I learned my lesson, and this time I used something to push the moss on the glue. This way, gonna give your centerpiece a more professional look, a neater finish, and a high-end look. I kept adding the green moss on each visible piece of the foam, and it actually made the centerpiece look more finished, but it also gave it more of the full look where you have these green moss on the side. And our beautiful stacked skull centerpiece is ready. And the secret how I got this for only $12.99 is that I got it on sale way before the season. I always get my bigger or more expensive pieces ahead or after the season. This is where you can get the cheapest prices. So I got this one in July, way before the Halloween season, and they had it on sale for $12.99. And the closest to this one that I could find was from Oriental Trading, and it was over $60. So we can compare. I got the sunflowers for $2.39 each. I used some ribbon. Each of the ribbon that I got from the craft outlet ranged between $4 and $4.50, and they are 10 yards each. That means each of them has 360 inches. And of course, we didn't use that much. So when I calculated my costs, they turned out to be around between $35 to $38. Let's round it to $40 to compensate for the glue sticks and anything else that I might have forgotten. And if you look up these centerpieces on Etsy with this size, you're gonna find that they sell between $195 up to $295. Can you believe that? And today we made them for just under $40. I am so in love with this Halloween centerpiece that you can use as a Halloween wreath by the front door. It's flat from the back, or you can use it as a Halloween centerpiece. You can absolutely make more of this to sell, or you can gift them. Please let me know in the comments what Halloween color combos that you like to use to decorate for the season. For this Halloween DIY, we're gonna start off with this beautiful large skull. I got this skull from Target for $18, and it's a huge skull. We're gonna start off by painting the eyes and the nose of the skull like I always do. I do that with all my skulls. It makes the skull pop, and it actually shows the details of the skull. It makes them visible and makes a beautiful contrast. So I painted in the eyes and the nose. I also did all the cracks around the skull. I filled them in, not all of them, but the visible ones. And of course, you know me, we're not gonna forget the teeth. It's the most important part. So we're gonna cover the teeth in black chalk paint, and I tried as much as I can to do only the teeth and not go over any other parts of the skull. Once I was done, I got my damp paper towel, and I'm gonna go over all the cracks and crevices and clean off all the excess. We're gonna clean off the excess from the surface only, not from the crevices. I cleaned off all of them with this damp paper towel, and I also went on the teeth, just on the surface. Don't try to dig with your paper towel and remove any of the black on the crevices. We want the surface of the teeth to be white and the background darker. It's gonna take the skull to another level, and this is how it looks once I was all done. Now with the glue, I went around the edges of the skull eye. I cleaned off any glue that went inside with my fingers because I wanna only cover the edges of the eye. I also covered the nose edges, and then I got this beautiful red glitter, and we're gonna sprinkle it right on the top of the glue on both eyes and of course on the nose. We're gonna give it a gentle tap, and our skull is ready, and we're gonna leave it aside to dry. Next, I got this beautiful large pumpkin from Michael's last year. It was on clearance, and it was around $6. You can always get them from Hobby Lobby. Use any pumpkin you have, but I tried to get a big pumpkin. I give this one a coat of primer, then I gave it 2 coats of an off-white color from Dixie Belle. Now that our skull and pumpkin are dry, it's time for my favorite part, decorating everything and putting them together. I'm gonna add this red satin ribbon to the crevices around the pumpkin. So I started by measuring them, and with the lighter, of course, we're gonna burn the edges to make sure it won't frail. And with the hot glue gun, I'm gonna start placing the red satin ribbon on the pumpkin crevices. And you don't have to start all the way from the top of the pumpkin because this is not gonna be showing, as we're gonna put the skull on the top and we're gonna glue the ends on the bottom of the pumpkin. All around the pumpkin crevices, covering one in red and leaving one. This is how it looks from the bottom. I tried to place them where it's all nice and centered. And this is how it looks once I was all done with the red satin. Then I got this beautiful white pom-pom trim from the Dollar Tree, and we're gonna place it on the crevices in the middle. So I measured that, and with the hot glue gun, I'm gonna start going over the middle crevices and cutting the ends. For this one, when you're done, make sure to cut off all the little white balls from the bottom so that your pumpkin is all flat on the bottom and it won't tap and fall off any surface when you put the skull on it. I am so in love with how it's turning out. What do you think it looks like? A little like Christmas? You're gonna figure out. Stay tuned. Next, I got this piece of foam that I also got from the Dollar Tree store, and I'm gonna push it in the top of the pumpkin to give it the shape of the stem. Then with the hot glue gun, I'm gonna put some hot glue on the foam and on the pumpkin, and I'm gonna stick that on the top. And I also put a piece of foam on the bottom of the skull, and we're gonna stick both together. Now we're gonna get our beautiful florals and branches. I got the white leaves from the craft outlet, and I got this beautiful Christmas pick from Amazon. I'm gonna leave the link in the description, and we're gonna start by cutting them. Oh, and I also got this beautiful Christmas ribbon from the craft outlet. I always like to cut the branches and picks that I use. It makes it so easy to place them around and play with them, and it also makes it look much more fuller. So I cut the white leaves and I started placing them on the foam. I put 2 pieces of foam on each side of the skull to make it much easier to put all the leaves and the florals. I kept cutting the leaves and placing them around, and I did the same exact thing on the other side. I put a little bit of hot glue by the tip of the stem, and then I insert that inside the foam. I kept cutting and placing them where I want to fill on both sides. Once I was done and I was pleased with the amount of leaves that I have on each side, it's time to work with the ribbon. With the ribbon, I made a little bow and I also cut another tail, which is just a piece of ribbon that I placed across the bow that I made. And then with this beautiful red yarn that I also got from the dollar store, I tied the middle of the bow and I gave it 2 knots on the back. I love that ribbon so much. It is so Christmassy. And actually, we're doing a Christmas-themed Halloween with this DIY. So once I was done with the bow, I cut the ends of the ribbon into a fishtail like we always do. It gives it a more professional look. And with the hot glue gun, we're gonna place that on the side of the skull. I did the same exact thing to the other side. I separated the parts of this peg to be able to place them where I want, and with the hot glue gun, I'm gonna glue the tabs and I'm gonna start to place them around the ribbon and the leaves where I want them. I'm gonna put one on the side, one on the back. It actually gives you more out of it when you cut it. You're gonna actually use less pegs, but it's gonna look as if you used more. So I kept placing them in a scattered pattern around the bow and the leaves, and I'm gonna use a full pick on each side. These are so beautiful and so Christmassy. Next, we're gonna do the same exact thing on the other side. I cut the pegs and separated them, and with the hot glue gun, I put some hot glue on the tips and I placed them around the other side the same way I did the first one. And the foam made it so easy to attach everything. It's so much easier. Our next step would be adding this beautiful glittery branches that I also got from the Dollar Tree. And again, we're gonna separate them, and I'm not gonna use a full pick. I'm just gonna use a little tiny bits here and there to complement the colors and make a little contrast with the white, gold, and red. And I'm gonna cover the back of the skull with this beautiful Christmas florals that were a leftover from another project from last year. Then I got this beautiful fur trim, and I'm gonna measure it to make a mustache for our skull. I split it into 2 halves to make it thinner, and then I shaped the trim to make it look like a mustache, not a flat piece of trim, and then I cut that into 2 halves, and with the hot glue gun I placed them on the skull. I guess you started to get a feeling, what is this turning to? So I got another piece of satin ribbon and I placed more of that fur trim to make a beard. Who has a beard and has all these Christmassy colors? What do you think? We will see. With the hot glue gun, I stuck all the trim from the back together, and I stuck that right on the bottom of the skull to make it look like a beard, and I trimmed it around to give it the beard shape. And with that little pieces that we just trimmed, we're gonna use that and stick them as eyebrows on the top. And now it's time for our last addition to this beautiful Halloween centerpiece, which is gonna be Santa's hat. And I am so in love with how our Halloween Santa turned out. It is absolutely stunning. Such a beautiful Halloween Christmassy centerpiece. It's like a Christmas-themed Halloween. I ended up adding 2 large silver gems in the eyes using the hot glue gun, and it took that to the next level. Please let me know in the comments, what do you think about this Christmas-themed Halloween centerpiece? For this DIY project, we're gonna start off with a canvas. I get these canvases from Walmart. It's around $1.50 each, and they come in a pack of 7. I painted my canvas in black chalk paint, and I'm gonna cover the whole canvas, and we're gonna give it 2 coats of paint. And of course, we're not gonna forget the sides and the edges of the canvas. We need the whole canvas in black. Once our canvas was dry, I cut this beautiful spider web on my silhouette cameo stencil paper, and with my transfer tape, I'm gonna move it to our canvas. I centered it, and once I got it where I want, I'm gonna make sure it's all stuck to the canvas. Once I was done, I took off the transfer tape, and our beautiful stencil is ready to be painted. Now with the E6000 glue, we're gonna fill in all the gaps of the canvas on all the spider web. We're gonna go in between those lines as if we're painting, but actually we're stenciling the E6000 glue. Once I was done, I took off the vinyl and we're left with our E6000 glue spider web. Next, I got this beautiful white fine glitter and I'm gonna sprinkle some on our spider web. Not to cover all of it, because next I got the silver chunky glitter and I'm gonna cover the rest of our web. And I hold the canvas and I kind of moved around the glitter to the right, to the left, to the top, and to the bottom to make sure the spider web is all covered. Look how pretty this looks. And then we're gonna give it a very gentle tap to remove the excess glitter. And we're gonna set it aside to dry. Once it was dry, I got this little spider that I got from the Dollar Tree store and I covered the bottom with glue. Then I put in some gold glitter. And with our hot glue gun, we're gonna stick that right on the spider web. Look how beautiful this turned out. It is absolutely stunning. It is one of the easiest Halloween DIYs on a budget. Such a high-end, beautiful Halloween piece of decor and costs less than $3. And I am so in love with how it turned out with all this shine, with all the glitter. It is absolutely stunning. For this DIY, we're gonna start off with this large canvas. It's a 16 by 20 canvas that I got from Michael's for around $5. I'm gonna get the Mod Podge and we're gonna cover the whole canvas. We're gonna put a medium layer, not too thin and not too thick, and I tried to even out all the surface with my brush to make sure it's all covered in the glue and it doesn't have higher and lower parts of glue. And once I was done, I'm gonna leave this on the side to dry. Now that our canvas is all dry, I got this beautiful tissue paper from Zazzle. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. It is so beautiful and I'm so in love with the colors. And who said Halloween has to be so spooky? I decided to make an Arabian night themed decor this Halloween, and this is gonna be a part of it. And we're gonna use one of the easiest and most successful ways to decoupage the canvas, which is the ironing method. We put the glue, we left it to dry, and now we're gonna iron on the paper. And I put the protective layer sheet and I set my iron on the highest setting. I got that one from Amazon and I used them for the heat transfer vinyl. And I'm gonna use it as a protective layer between the paper and the iron. You can also use parchment paper for this method, but I prefer this one. It makes it so much easier. It's a big sheet that covers everything at the same time. Once I was done, I got my glue and I actually put some by the ends of the canvas on the top and on the bottom. And we're gonna cover this in gold leaf. I got the rose gold leaf and I started covering it. It doesn't have to be perfect, just cover the bottom and the top. We actually want the gold leaf to look a little wrinkled. Next, I got my E6000 glue. Well, this one is almost empty, but we have to use it until the last drop. So I pushed in and I put some of the E6000 glue right on the belt of this beautiful dancer, and I kind of moved it with a little peg to only cover the belt. I wanted to make sure it doesn't go anywhere else. And then I got my beautiful rhinestone gold chain. I measured it and I cut a little piece for the top of the belt. And with my tweezers, I moved it and centered it where I want. With the E6000 glue, you have time to work around with your embellishments. It doesn't dry right away, and it's so easy to place it with the tweezers, so I took my time. Then I got this beautiful gold gems, and I started layering them right under the gold chain. I'm gonna put them all around that belt. It's gonna take the skirt to the next level. Then I cut another piece of the chain, and I placed it on the bottom. Look how beautiful this belt looks. I am so in love with it already. Once I was done with placing the gold chain, I got a little piece of the paper towel and I cleaned off any excess glue. Once I was done, I got this beautiful gold glitter. This is not fine glitter, it's chunky gold, and we're gonna fill in the gaps between those stones. You won't believe the difference this is gonna make. I just put a little bit to cover that, and with my E6000 glue, I'm gonna gonna go over all the gold edges on her skirt, and I covered all of them in gold glitter. Now again, with my E6000 glue, I made little dots to resemble the gold embellishments on her skirt, and I covered the whole costume in these dots. And again with the glitter, we're gonna cover all of it. I shaked it a little bit to make sure all the little dots were covered. And then I got this beautiful metal embellishment that I got from Amazon. It's bendable, you can shape it the way you want. And I measured the part of her costume by the chest, and then I cut it with my scissors and trimmed it to make sure it doesn't have any sharp edges that could cut my paper. And I sanded it with the sandpaper a little bit on the top. Then we're gonna attach this right here with the E6000 glue. How beautiful this looks. Once I put this in, I also put some E6000 glue on the top and the red gem on the top of the filigree embellishment. Now it's time to do her necklace and her earrings. The earring, I put one gold gem, and then I covered the rest of the earring with glitter. I also covered the trim by the chest part with glitter. And for the necklace, I cut little pieces of the gold bryant chain, and I kind of layered it to mimic the necklace that she has. She had like a beautiful gold long necklace with a little sprinkles of gold around it by her head, where she had that gold stone on the top. And with my mixed pearl stones, I put some of the gold little dots right under the chain to cover the rest of her necklace. And I also filled in the gaps with more gold glitter. And of course, we didn't forget the jewelry on the arms and her ankles. I added some more E6000 glue on the embellishments by her chest, and I'm gonna add some gold stones, actually gold and red stones, to make it more decorated and to make it more shiny. And then I gave it a little tap to remove all the excess glitter. And look how beautiful this turned out. Absolutely stunning. Now with the sandpaper, I'm gonna go over the edges of the decoupage to make sure it doesn't have anything extra that wasn't stuck with glue, so that it won't come off later. So I did that, and then with a soft dry brush, I brushed off all the excess gold leaf from the top and from the bottom. Then with my little brush and some black chalk paint, I went over the edges. I always love to do this. It makes the canvas pop, and it gives it a more finished look. You're gonna see the contrast that it makes with the gold and all the other colors. I did that on all four sides of my canvas. I got a fine brush, and with that beautiful teal color from Dixie Belle, I'm gonna go over this greenish, bluish on the wheels and on the cart behind her, just a little tiny bit with my brush, and I actually went over it with my fingers. But you're gonna see the difference it makes. Even though it's just a little bit, it's making all the details pop and look vibrant. Kept going here and there, and once I was done, I got this beautiful gold mesh fabric, and I'm gonna measure the size of the canvas and bend it from the top. And with the needle and thread, we're gonna quickly thread that from the top. I don't work much with the fabric. I'm not good at sewing at all. Don't get that wrong, but it was so easy to just do that on the top with the needle and the thread. Then I pushed it all the way in to crunch it and like to wrinkle and ruffle it from the top. And you can also play with that around. You can stretch it to make it wider or pull out the thread to make it smaller. Then I made a little knot by the end of the thread once I got the right size that I wanted. And with the hot glue gun, we're gonna attach our curtain on the top of the canvas, just over here like that. And of course, I did another one for the other side too, and I used the same exact tips, and we also gonna attach that with the hot glue gun. Now that it's ready, I played around with the curtain to shape it like this, and with the satin gold ribbon, we're gonna make a little bow right here. As you can see, it's so easy to play around with that mesh and shape it the way you want, and it actually complements all the colors of this beautiful paper. I did the same exact thing on the other side, and with the hot glue gun, I placed them right here so they are not moving anywhere. And the last step would be making a beautiful golden bow right on the top of the canvas in the middle of the two curtains. And our beautiful canvas was all done. and I'm so in love with how it turned out. I ended up adding a little 2 green branches on the top behind the bow, and look at these colors, absolutely stunning. The gold leaf, the mesh, the satin ribbon, the glitter, the golden red gems, the rhinestone chains, the metal embellishments, they all complement each other and turned into this high-end piece that you can use as a wall decor. You can use it on a wreath. You can use it as a part of your Halloween decoration, Arabian night theme decoration. So many possibilities. I am so in love with how it turned out. For this fall wreath DIY, we're gonna start with a grapevine wreath base. I got mine from Joanne last year for $4.99, but you can always get yours from Hobby Lobby. They are around $6 each, and they have Christmas for $50 off and fall for $40 off right now. We're gonna use these beautiful top full leaves that I got from the craft outlet as our base. They come in a pack of 12 and they are around $1 each of them. I'll start placing the leaves using the hot glue gun. I like to cut all the bushes, the leaves, the stems with my wire cutter and then use them where I want. That makes them look more fuller and you can play and arrange the colors as you want. We're not covering the whole wreath, just the left side, so I kept cutting the branches and placing them into the wreath, using the hot glue gun on the very tip end and then inserting it inside the vines. We will be adding some on the bottom and some on the top, balancing both sides. We will try to cover the gaps on our base, and we will leave a part that's not fully covered, and this is where we will be adding our bows. Then we will get our beautiful orange leaves that I already cut them into stems, and we will arrange them on the wreath using the hot glue gun. I'll put some on the top and some on the base. I kept adding one on the bottom and one on the opposite side. One down and one up. I love all these beautiful fall colors together so much. I was so excited for fall to start and I couldn't wait. Next, we will get our beautiful black velvet ribbon that I also got from the craft outlet, and we will make a bow. We're gonna leave a tail, then pinch our loop, hold it with our thumbs. We're gonna twist and make another loop, pinch again, holding everything with our thumb and hands. Now we will add the dark green velvet ribbon. Again, we're gonna leave a tail, pinch, twist to make the ribbon facing out. Since this is one-sided ribbon, make a loop, pinch again, hold everything with your fingers. We're gonna twist and make another loop, pinch again, and now you can even add more colors. So let's add this beautiful red velvet one. Leave a tail, pinch, twist, make a loop, pinch and twist again, make another loop and leave a tail. We're gonna add another color, the white and gold ribbon. That one I also got from Joanne last year. We will leave a tail, pinch, twist, make a loop, pinch, then twist again, make another loop, and leave the tail out. We're gonna zip tie everything together, but don't zip it all the way up. Just leave a little tiny bit on the back, and you're gonna know why in just a minute. We're gonna fluff up all our bows. Now this is a very easy way to make bows without using a bow maker. There are so many ways that you can use to make different bows, and I'll be adding a new one in every tutorial. Now that our bows are ready, we're gonna insert another zip tie from the back to attach the wreath to our base. And we will put it right under the first zip tie. Now we can close the zip tie all the way, and this is why we didn't want to close it the whole way in the beginning. Just to have a little tiny space to put in the other zip tie where we will be attaching the whole bows to our wreath. Now we will pass the zip tie through the base wreath, not around it, so it won't show from the back. We're gonna cut the excess zip tie, flub them up again, then cut all the tails into a fishtail. This is a very important step to make the wreath look more professional, looks more neat, so please don't forget that. Next, we're gonna get 2 of these beautiful faux picks. I got these from Hobby Lobby. They were 40% off and they were $3.59 each. We're not gonna use them as they are, but we will separate them and place them separately on the wreath. It's gonna give you more out of this pick. It's not gonna be all in one place, but it's gonna be beautifully scattered around your wreath, and it has that beautiful flow. We're gonna start with this one, put a little bit of hot glue by the end, and then attach it to the wreath. We will put one under the ribbon and one by the end of the base leaves. Then we will place both leaves, one in the middle and one by the end. I got the rest of the pick, and with the hot glue, I layered it on the top of the base leaves. Then we're gonna place the pumpkin right under the bows. And we're gonna place this full berries, which is the last part of our pick, right by the pumpkin. Next, I got this beautiful cattail bush from the craft outlet. It was for $5.75, and it's such a beautiful, large, and high-quality addition to our wreath. It will make the color pop, and it will combine all the colors together. We're gonna use only this one, but of course, we're gonna separate them and scatter them around our wreath. I placed one by the very bottom end, and don't push it all the way in. We need to be able to see most of it hanging out. I'm gonna leave a little space and add another one towards the back of the wreath, where the stem is under the base leaves, but you can see the whole bush hanging out, but with a little angle. I added a few of them on the bottom, and then we're gonna add one by the top of all our florals. Now we're gonna balance our wreath. Everything that we did on the bottom half, we're gonna do it on the top half, right across, parallel to the other one. And I use the bottom as my guide. And for the pumpkin, we're gonna put it right on the top of our bows. Now we're gonna get the rest of the cattail bush and do the same exact thing that we did on the top, but this time the bushes will be hanging toward the top back of the wreath. And the stem is gonna be under the top leaves, but the bush will be hanging out fully visible with an angle. Then I added 2 more tail bushes toward the inside of the wreath, on the top and on the bottom. I had this leftover greens from another project, and since I don't need much, I'll be using them here. Now with this pampas pick that I got from the Dollar Tree, we're gonna separate the stem. Each of them got around 5, and we will place them in the gaps between the tail bushes. We're gonna use them as a filler. We will add 4 on the bottom and 4 on the top. And I'm loving all these beautiful colors already. Now our beautiful full wreath is done. I am so in love with how it turned out, and now it's time to calculate the cost. So let's lay down all the materials that we used, starting from the base wreath, the ribbon, the bambas, the taupe leaves, orange leaves, the full pecks, the tail bushes, and the total came to $28.50. So let's round it to $30 to compensate the leftover greens that I used, the glue sticks, anything else that we used, the zip ties. So for $30, we made this beautiful high-end full wreath. Not only this, but we will be able to sell this one starting from $85 all the way up to $145. This is how much they sell for on Etsy. They are so beautiful, high quality. Now here are some tips and tricks. For the materials, I like to buy all my supplies when they are on sale. So right now, Hobby Lobby have 40 off for all the fall items. So you can get a few fall leaves, fall bushes in a very good price. And the quality is amazing. Another option is always the craft outlet. I buy lots of stuff from them. They have amazing prices and the quality you can't compare. It's amazing. Another thing to put in mind is I used wired ribbon. It is so easy to shape, looks more professional, and with the shipping, it doesn't bend much or crinkle all around itself. So it's very important to use wired ribbon. It might be more expensive, but it's absolutely worth it. You're going to have perfect loops. You're going to shape them, cut them. It's really worth it. Now, another thing, the reason we're buying all our materials from Hobby Lobby or Craft Outlet or from any other option other than the dollar store is that because we're selling them. If it's for myself, it's optional. You can get from the dollar store, use whatever you want to use. But since we're selling them, and we're making a high-end piece that we want to make good profit on, we have to use good material. And now, of course, you're asking yourself, it only costs $30 to make it. Why are they selling it for $95 or even for $145? And the reason is because you're going to compensate for your labor time, for the shipping, for the Etsy fees. There are so many things into that. So that's why they sell for that much. If you're selling that on like craft fairs or somewhere else, you have to compensate for the table money that you paid up front to be able to sell this. So put this in mind when you're pricing them. Usually, you should multiply the cost by 2.5 to 3. Depends on where you're selling it, which state, so many factors. But this is like an idea of how to make and sell it. Please let me know in the comments if you have any other questions about making and selling these beautiful high-end wreaths. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and I'm gonna see you in the next one.